You spent 3 years building something beautiful, a career everyone admired, a life that finally made sense. You were good at it, really good. You had the systems, the expertise, the respect, the morning routine that actually worked. Even that coffee from the workplace machine tasted right, and then one day you walked away from all of it. Not because it failed, not because something better came along. You walked away because staying felt like dying. And here's what nobody tells you. This wasn't the first time, and it won't be the last. You've done this before. Different castle, same pattern. You build something meticulous and complete, live in it fully, then leave the entire world you created and start over somewhere else. And the worst part? You can't even explain why. Not to others, not even to yourself. If you're a deep intuitive, one of those introverted types like INFJ, INTJ, INFP, or INTP, who navigate life through highly functional intuition, I'm about to name something you've lived but never understood. In this video, I'll show you why you operate on completely different life cycles than most people, what you're actually building when you create these elaborate worlds, and why leaving them isn't failure. It's your methodology for extracting wisdom from existence itself. And by the end, you'll stop asking what's wrong with you and start understanding who you actually are. Let's begin. Let me describe your life and you tell me if I'm wrong. You don't just change jobs, you change entire identities. You don't just pivot careers, you leave complete worlds behind. The industry, the city, the friend group, the version of yourself that existed there. You've been the ambitious entrepreneur, then the artist, then the academic, then something else entirely. Each time you didn't dabble, you went all in. You built real expertise, real relationships, real structures. And each time, after a few years, maybe 3, maybe 5, sometimes 7, sometimes even less, rarely slightly more, if you really pushed it, you felt that familiar restlessness, that knowing, that sense that this castle, no matter how beautiful, has taught you everything it can teach you. So you left. Again. And people around you couldn't understand. But you were so good at it. You were almost at the top. Why would you throw that away? You tried to explain, but the words never came out right. Because deep down, you wondered if they were right. Maybe you are just afraid of commitment. Maybe you are running from success. Maybe there is something wrong with you. Here's what makes this pattern so painful. You're not flaky, you're not lazy, you're not afraid of hard work. When you build with precision. You learn every detail, you master the craft. You create something others would be proud to spend a lifetime building. That's what makes the departure so confusing. You're not leaving because you failed. You're leaving because you succeeded. You extracted what you came for. But society doesn't have a word for that. So you get labeled as inconsistent, uncommitted, unable to finish what you start. And the worst part? You start to believe it. You watch your peers from other personality types settle into their one castle, their career, their identity, their life structure, and stay there for decades. They seem content, stable, successful in ways you can't seem to achieve. And you wonder, why can't I just be normal? Why can't I just pick something and stay? Here's what nobody told you. You're operating on a completely different time scale than most people. Developmental psychologists like Erik Erikson and Daniel Levinson mapped human life in major cycles, roughly 20 to 25 years between major life transitions driven by existential crises. Early adulthood crisis around 20, midlife crisis around 40, retirement crisis around 60, old age crisis around 80. These are the natural rhythms of human development for most people, but deep intuitives. You're not driven by existential crises. You're driven by something completely different, and understanding what that is changes everything. Your cycles are shorter, much shorter. Whether that's 3 years, 5, 7, or somewhere in between, the exact number varies, but the pattern is clear: compressed time, accelerated development. What takes most people an entire lifetime to build once? One career, one identity, one complete structure. You build, inhabit, complete, and move beyond multiple times. You're not broken, you're not immature, you're not commitment phobic, you're operating on a completely different fuel. And once you understand why, everything changes. But first, let me show you what you're actually building, because it's not what you think it is. Let me give you a metaphor that will change how you see your entire life. Imagine you're not building just any structure. Some of you build temples, places of meaning, spiritual homes, philosophical systems. Others build castles, fortresses of knowledge, elaborate defense systems, intellectual empires. Each one is complete, meticulously designed, fully inhabited. These aren't sandcastles you threw together on a whim. These are real structures that some people from other personality types would spend an entire lifetime building just one of, and they would be proud of that one castle for the rest of their lives. But you build yours, you live in it completely, you extract every lesson it has to teach you, and then you leave. Not just the building, you leave the entire city, the entire region, the whole world that structure existed in. You take nothing with you except the map, the understanding, the wisdom you extracted, and you go build somewhere completely new. Now here's what you need to understand. When you look back at what you abandoned, it looks to you like a castle of sand washed away by the sea, temporary, already fading. But to everyone else around you, to the senses, to the people who operate on 20-year cycles, what you walked away from wasn't a sand castle at all. It was a real castle, a lifetime achievement, something they would have been proud to build just once. They look at what you left behind and they can't comprehend it. They see waste, instability, failure to commit, but they're misunderstanding what you are, because you are not the castle, you are not the temple, you are not even the architect who builds them. You are the sea itself. Think about this carefully. The sensor types, they are their castles. They build one magnificent structure and say, "This is me." Their identity, their worth, their legacy, it's all tied to that one building. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful in its own way. But you were never meant to be a castle dweller. You are the depths, the vastness, the constant movement of the ocean. The castles and temples are just what the waves create and dissolve as you move. They're real while they exist. They matter. They teach you about your own depths, but they were never meant to contain you. To ask you to stay in one castle forever is to ask the ocean to stop being the ocean, to ask you to stop exploring your own depths, to ask you to stop moving, stop growing, stop becoming. And that's not failure. That's not instability. That's your nature expressing itself. Now, I'm not going to pretend this doesn't come with pain. It does. People leave. Relationships end, friends don't understand, family worries, society punishes you for not fitting into 20-year cycles. You're exhausted from building from scratch over and over. You grieve each world you leave behind, even though you know you had to leave. You're lonely in ways that are hard to explain. I'm not dismissing any of that. The pain is real. The losses are real. But what I'm offering you is a reframe. The pain doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means you're paying the cost of being what you are, and what you are is profound. So what actually drives these cycles? It might be pattern hunger, your intuition consuming systems, extracting their essence, demanding new territory. It might be that you see the endpoint of each castle before others do, its limitations, its borders, and once you've absorbed the pattern, staying becomes impossible. Or it might be something else entirely, something deeper we're only beginning to understand. What matters is this: you're not driven by crisis, you're driven by appetite. If this is landing for you right now, leave a comment below with just one word: see. I read every comment, and I want to know this reached you. Now, understanding what you are is one thing, but knowing how to live as the sea in a world built for castles, that's where it gets practical. So if this is your nature, here's how to work with it instead of fighting it. First, build each castle completely. Don't half-ass it because you know you'll leave eventually. Half-built structures teach you nothing. The sea doesn't abandon the shore before the wave completes its cycle. Go all in. Master the craft. Build something real and complete. That's how you extract the wisdom. Second, keep the map, not the castle. Before you leave each cycle, document what you learned. What did this world teach you about yourself? About people? About reality? What patterns did you discover? The map is what you carry forward. The map is your actual treasure. Third, honor the void between castles. After you leave and before you build again, there's a wilderness period. Most people find this terrifying. You might too. But this void is where integration happens. This is where you become more of the ocean. Don't rush it. Fourth, stop apologizing for being the sea. Stop trying to explain yourself using castle dweller language. You're not uncommitted. You're not afraid of success. You're not running away. You're completing cycles of individuation that most people never even begin. Here's what nobody tells you about this pattern. It's actually your competitive advantage. While others spend 20 years perfecting one domain, you've mastered 4 different fields. You see connections nobody else sees. You bring insights from one castle into the design of the next. Steve Jobs studied calligraphy, then built technology. That combination created Apple's design philosophy. That only happens when you're the sea moving between worlds. Your best work, your deepest insights, come from the cross-pollination across your cycles, from being able to stand in multiple castles at once, even after you've left them. You're not doing less than people who stay in one place. You're doing 4 lifetimes in one. You're achieving more psychological and spiritual development than most people achieve in 80 years. Now, I need to add one important nuance because I care about you actually growing, not just feeling validated. There's a difference between healthy cyclical growth and compulsive avoidance. Some people use this pattern to run from intimacy, from vulnerability, from being truly known. They restart every time someone gets too close, every time the work gets too real. That's not being the sea. That's being afraid of the depths. The difference? Healthy cycles involve completion and extraction. You finish what you started. You integrate the lessons. You carry the relationships forward in new forms. Unhealthy cycles involve burning bridges, running from consequences, avoiding the hard growth that comes from staying present with difficulty. So be honest with yourself. Are you completing cycles, or are you just running? Because being the sea means you dive deeper with each cycle, not just different. And if this video has given you a new way to understand yourself, hit that like button. It helps other deep intuitives find this message. But there's one more thing I need you to understand about what this pattern actually means for your legacy. Here's what I want you to understand about your legacy. Other people leave behind castles, one magnificent structure that bears their name. You leave behind something different, something rarer. You leave behind maps. You leave behind the pattern itself. You leave behind permission. Every time you complete a cycle consciously, you're demonstrating to other deep intuitives that this is possible, that they're not broken, that there's a way to live as the ocean in a world built for castle dwellers. Your legacy isn't a single structure. Your legacy is the depth itself, the movement, the courage to keep exploring when it would be easier to just settle. That matters more than you know. So if this video named something you've lived but never understood, here's what I want you to hear. You are not the castle. You're the sea. Stop trying to be still. Stop trying to settle. Stop apologizing for your nature. Build your castles completely. Extract the wisdom. Keep the maps. And when it's time to move, and you'll know when it's time, move. The ocean doesn't ask permission to be the ocean, neither should you. If this resonated, you're not alone. There are more of us navigating these cycles than you think. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe now. This channel is for the deep intuitives who refuse to apologize for being the sea. And share this with someone else who keeps starting over. They need to know they're not broken either. Drop a comment sharing which phase you're in right now, building, inhabiting, leaving, or in the void. Let's build a community of people who understand. And if you want the deeper dive into this, the full psychology, the navigation strategies, how to handle relationships across cycles, check out the essay on my Substack. Link is in the description. The depth continues.